Hey there, so today we're going to do episode 102, which was originally supposed to be episode 100, but because of unforeseen circumstances, I couldn't talk, I'm now having to do it now. So what I originally planned to do was go over what I learned in the first 100 vlogs, and then basically answer some questions as well. So here goes. I guess the first thing is, what progress have I made? So the first thing that I found out pretty much was that I had to improve my audio quality. Audio quality appears to be much more important than the visual quality. Like, you can have really bad grainy video, and as long as people can hear you properly, that's not too much of an issue. If, however, it's the other way around, where you've got really clear video but there's static or clicking or other noises in the background on the audio, that will turn people off immediately. So I had to fix that, and that's why I now wear a lav mic whenever possible. The other big change that I did make was learning how color grading works and how to fix my video. It doesn't matter what the hardware is you use, there's always going to be room for improvement. Obviously things are a lot better when I'm using a bigger lens, such as what I've got here on the Canon T2i, but when it comes to using the smartphone, even then, like, things can be improved greatly with a little bit of tinkering in a video editor, as long as you know what you're doing, which I didn't when I started off. So yes, we live and we learn. One of the big things that I had to drop almost immediately was the walkabout videos. Now, originally my schedule was a lot different to what it is now, and the only time I could really fit in the vlogging was to actually do it as I'm walking to work. And then what I would do is in the evening I would then edit it up and post it, and it would be ready to go the next day, or sometimes that night. So by fixing that, that improved things a lot. I'm sure now people don't get seasick watching my vlogs. The other thing I also did was I added these subtle animations. So I actually did the animations. I was on a plane. I'm trying to remember where I was flying to or from, but I had like a spare couple of hours. So I basically learned Apple Motion while I was on the plane, 30,000 feet up, and I've been using the animation ever since. I want to do some more, but again, it all comes down to time management. I also learned that playing with angles a little bit more and having some fun with the visuals was important. You can't just have a talking head that doesn't move. There has to be other things, whether it's B-roll or pictures, or you sort of change up the video. That has to be done, and it's just to try and keep people's attention for as long as possible. From a personal standpoint, one of the biggest things I learned was to stop saying and all of these things while I'm thinking. Now I actually think what it is that I'm going to say before I say it, which I know that sounds basic, but it was a skill that's had to take some time to develop, and I'm still developing it. I'm not by any way in brain fart. No, I'm not in any way really. I'm not in any way perfect when it comes to this. It really is a case of, the more I do it, the better I get, but I know I've still got a long way to go on this. The other thing was also getting my energy levels up. Anybody that's ever met me in person knows that I'm normally a fairly animated person, and I normally have a bit of energy to me. But some of my earlier videos were very sort of droll and monotonous, and I didn't have any emotion, and I didn't really sound to be excited in front of the camera. So now I'm back to what I would be if you knew me in person. Like, there's a lot to be said for being authentic, and whilst I don't want to be sort of over the top or anything like that, because anybody that's known me personally for quite some time knows that I can have a certain amount of energy when I'm gesticulating and talking, and I can get louder and higher and higher and higher. Like, so I at least tried to keep myself toned down somewhat, and I know that probably sounds counterintuitive, but at least I'm not back at where I used to be when I used to talk like this. The other big change I had to make was putting in background audio. Just having a little bit of noise in the background that's not silence when I'm not talking, that helps things a lot. And it also, if there's, for instance, a refrigerator's humming in the background, or there's some other noise that I just cannot eradicate, this allows me to at least mask it so it's less obvious that that's what's going on. And again, this is all down to there's a perception that you're trying to convey via the video, and that's just part of it. Now, for consistency reasons, I normally use the same tune. It's called I Love You, and it's a free tune that's provided by YouTube. It's in their creators library. So I use that, and it's one that I feel it just sort of fits with the vibe of my videos. Having said that, from time to time I do change up the audio, like if I'm doing a road trip video or something like that, or out on the street, then the idea with that is, you know, the scenery has changed, the video type has changed, so therefore the music changes with it. Yeah, it's good to shake things up from time to time, but for consistency reasons, I always have the same music when I'm doing this type of video. So how much progress have I made? Well, when I started, I had 3 subscribers. Now that's like talking to 3 friends in a pub. Like a very, very small, very, very intimate little group of people. And you know, they were all people that I've either known personally or I'm friends with. And so, you know, where I'm at now, as I'm recording this, I believe I'm at 37 subscribers, which, you know, on the one hand, that's a very large number. You know, it's larger than a classroom of people. Now, if somebody asked me to go and stand in front of a classroom of people, I know that just recently things have been a bit weird because I'm on stage in front of like 75 people or 350 people, but traditionally I don't talk to big audiences like that. So the idea of even stepping up in front of a school classroom would have been like, whoa, this is a lot more people than I'm used to talking in front of. So yeah, it's one of those things that, you know, in the back of my head, I'm very well aware that I'm now talking to a larger group of people than I ever used to. And so yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I can't wait to see where this goes next. But yeah. Yeah, when I'm talking to the camera though, I'm not really talking to the camera. I do realise that there are people behind. And you know, I have an idea in the back of my head as to what the approximate demographic looks like. I have a demographic, just in case you don't know what my demographic is, you know, from my statistics, the people that watch my videos the most are generally 90% male, 10% female. And the age range goes from about mid-20s to just over 65. It's very much the working age male seems to be the demographic, but having said that, I'm very well aware that there are ladies and girls watching these videos as well. So yes, thank you for watching as well. So when I'm talking to the camera, whilst I'm seeing a lens in front of me, I am actually aware that there are people on the other end of that lens. Like this is going to be seen by people. Like I am thinking of people when I'm talking to the camera. And I guess that's how I've managed to help this sort of activity and animation and, you know, having a little bit of passion talking to the camera as opposed to the old way of doing things. I don't know, it's something I'm still working on, but it's also just be aware that it's also in the back of my head. From a workflow standpoint, I've managed to cut down my production time immensely just by practice and working out what works, what doesn't work, and optimizing accordingly. This will be a separate video at some point in the future. So I've gone from taking about 2 hours to get down to a 15-minute video or thereabouts to spending maybe 20 minutes or so to do a 5-minute video. This has basically allowed time management, you know, to keep things in check so that this isn't overwhelming and it's not, you know, becoming unenjoyable because there's stupid deadlines and things like this. So, you know, it's a little bit for my own sanity as well as, you know, to make sure that I'm not pushing out rubbish just for the sake of putting out a 30-minute video every day. I also film in batches quite often. I haven't done too much this week because I've been working from home, so I've got a little bit of leeway because I'm also dropping the kids off to school and picking them up in the evening, so there's a little bit more time spent at home this week. But generally what I normally do is I batch up 2 or 3 at a time, and then I do all of those in a half-hour period, and then each day I can spend, you know, 20 minutes or whatever just chopping up the video and doing post-production. So that has helped immensely as well. That's a big thing I've learned. Another big thing that I've changed is what I call the Amy Schmittauer jump cut. And basically, I now run the video a lot closer together and the audio actually overlaps slightly. So that removes the clicks and pops as I go from one part of the video to the next part if I've shot or cut things you know, accordingly. You know, it also means that my projects have gone from looking like this, where the timeline is very linear and very, very simple to deal with and you can just move things around easily, to monstrosities like this. Yes. Thank you, Amy. I also added a consistent thumbnail. Now, you know, I understand personal branding. I'm not a big one for wanting to push my own personal brand, but you know, I did have to come up with something consistent so that people can see my videos and go, yes, that's one of Jason's videos. So I basically came up with a rather clean Pixelmator template that I can quickly drag and drop and fill in, and then that produces a thumbnail very, very quickly. I chose purple because A, I just like purple, and B, it was the colour of Prince. You don't have to be serious. I can't get up that high. For integrity reasons, the picture that is in the thumbnail is nearly always what's in the video. I don't bait and switch. Some people, they put one picture on the video, but then there's something else totally different on the thumbnail. And, you know, I try to keep them the same. So, you know, this is really more just an integrity thing for me personally. You know, I want to be known as honest, so it's like, yeah, if you see something on the thumbnail, there's pretty much a guarantee that it's in the video somewhere. The font that I use on the thumbnails, that is called Phosphate, and this comes back to before I had a proper template. I would just take a screen capture from the video and then I try and put some text over it, and the problem with that is sometimes, depending on what's in the picture, that can be difficult to read. So I played around with some fonts for quite some time until I found one that I liked. I even played around with certain colours for a while. I went through a yellow colour and then I went through a sort of a pinky red colour and stuff, but in the end it was the choice of font that actually made the biggest difference, and I ended up going with something called Phosphate. Now that I have my own templates with these purple backgrounds and things, I don't need to use the Phosphate font, but having said that, I guess it just became part of the brand, so I kept it in because why not, you know. Okay, so now we go into the questions. Now, the first question was the biggest thing that I've learned doing these vlogs. Number one, show up. You know, just showing up, being consistent, being there. People expect you to be there. If you're there every day, then, you know, just be there every day. Like, obviously there are days where things become physically impossible and I can't get something out, and on those days, yes, there's no video, and that may happen, you know, one weekday in 2 or 3 weeks. But yeah, on the whole, I try to make sure that something is put out on a regular basis. Showing up and being seen to show up is key. It builds a relationship, it builds trust, and, you know, people, they get used to where you're going to be and they expect you to be there. So yeah, showing up, that was the biggest thing that I've realized. The second question was, if I was to do this all over again, is there anything I would change? Yes, 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 yes. Not doing the walkabout in the early vlogs. It was very, very jerky, it was very noisy because I couldn't control the noise quite often, and so yeah. I also find that I don't like going back and watching those videos, so that probably means that nobody else wants to watch those videos either. Never let it be said that I am not pragmatic. Another thing that I also have changed with the videos going from the old ones to the new ones is how I tag things. So, you know, originally I was tagging for the computer to be able to index the videos and know what was in the video. What I now do is I tag for the humans. So it's what are people more likely to be searching for. That's what I put in my tags, and that has had a noticeable difference. It takes a couple of weeks for it to start to take effect, but generally what happens is videos are now starting to surface that have been, you know, dormant for quite some time in the background, and obviously that means my view count's going up and my watch time is going up immensely. Going back to the consistency thing as well, I just want to say that I am still tinkering on a regular basis. Now, when I tinker, I tend to do small incremental changes and I leave them in place for 1 month. And that allows me to see how do things change over a month. You know, because obviously things are going to fluctuate on a daily or a weekly basis. That's just going to happen. You're going to have some weeks that are down, some weeks are up. But when you start looking at it on a month-to-month basis and you know, seeing what is the average for the month, are things up or down, it's a lot easier to work out what is having a positive difference and what is having a negative difference. By doing incremental changes, it also doesn't shock people. You know, people don't like large changes. So by doing it incrementally, that makes things a little bit easier for everyone. I do keep a spreadsheet. I might have mentioned this before, but I do keep a spreadsheet where I keep track of the various metrics that come out of YouTube plus Social Blade, and I also record on the right hand side of this spreadsheet what I've changed internally within the vlog, whether it's adding the 4 cards at the end of the video, or, you know, I've changed how I do color grading or whatever. And I also then record on the external column what has changed outside. So if there's an event, like let's say for instance I've ended up in the news or something like that, then, you know, I'm able to work out where are these changes coming from, what's influencing the vlog. But again, this, I don't think that everybody needs to do this, it's just something that I do because I guess I'm that type of person. The next question that came up was quality versus quantity. Now, you know, I do a bit of both. Like, I try to up the quality and I also try to make sure that the quantity is consistent. Like, some people, they vlog on a weekly basis, some do it on a monthly basis. I prefer to do it on an almost daily basis just because I like doing it. It's something that I, you know, can spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day doing, and yeah, it sort of makes me happy. But having said that, whilst I do post most weekdays, I sometimes post on the weekend if there's something interesting going on, but I tend to keep the family out of the vlog as much as I can. Yeah, my boys, they're not old enough yet to be able to understand sometimes what's happening with YouTube. Like, they're only just turned 5, so until they get a little bit older, I'm going to keep them out of the picture somewhat. That's just something as a parent that I've made a decision on. So yeah, I don't always post just for the sake of posting stuff. I also, going back to my spreadsheet, I have a list of items where I try to qualify before I do a video, what is going to be the value of that? Is it going to be educational? Is it going to be entertainment? Like, what is it? And if I can't work out if there's an educational or an entertainment value to it, then that thing just doesn't get vlogged about. Yes, this does mean that you're seeing a cherry-picked version of events sometimes, but having said that, I found also over the 100 episodes that the amount of time I spend vlogging about me is somewhat going down, and the things that I'm interested in is somewhat going up. So I've got this sort of chart like this of me goes down, and then things about technology and the things that I'm interested in are going up. I'm really, as I said, I tinker and I'm reacting to what other people are reacting to. So the one thing I'm definitely not going to do, there's one video that literally it punched through and it's just consistent every day. There's like 50 views every day, and it's still going up. The amount of comments that it's generating is still going up. And that video is the one about comparing the British plug to the North American plug. Now, there is a talk about, maybe I should do a video on ring main or the ring final main. And I don't know that I want to get into being an electrical channel. It's not my competency. Like, I'm a programmer, I like doing electronics, but like 240 volts or 110 volt electricity is not my thing. I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not good at, and that's one of the things I'm not good at. So I do try to make sure that there is merit to my videos. So anyway, that pretty much is where we're at today. Originally there was going to be some bloopers on the end of this, but I ended up putting them on 100 just so that I had some filler there, because I literally could not talk that day. My mouth was just too sore. So yes, that's what I wanted to cover for this video. If you do like these videos, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, consider subscribing, and thanks for following. Okay, bye.